turn your eyes upon Jesus. Oh, turn your eyes on Jesus. Sing that again. Oh, turn your, oh, turn your, oh, turn your eyes upon Jesus. Oh, turn your, oh, turn your, oh, turn your eyes upon Jesus. Oh, turn your, oh, turn your, oh, turn your eyes upon Jesus. Oh, turn your, oh, turn your, oh, turn your eyes upon. The band is going to keep playing and sing this song, but I invite us to stand up for just a second, if you're able to, and take a moment to walk around the room. Notice the artwork, notice the colors. Be in your body for just a moment, with an open heart and a mind that's accessible to the love of God. Oh, turn your, oh, turn your, oh, turn your eyes upon Jesus. Oh, turn your, oh, turn your, oh, turn your eyes upon Jesus. And the things of earth will grow strangely dim. Let the things of earth grow strangely dim as you, oh, turn your, oh, turn your, oh, turn your eyes upon Jesus. Oh, turn your, oh, turn your, oh, turn your eyes upon Jesus. Amen. Take a moment to take a seat, and if you're online, I hope you were able to move around the space that you're in, to inhabit and occupy the place that you are. Fighting off a head cold, so if I sound worse than I normally do, which is pretty bad. By the way, vocal surgery is on Wednesday, hopefully. So I'll be able to talk like a normal human being soon. Don't get too close. Can we get the first slide up, please? I'm not going to actually preach a message this morning. I just want to set up and remind us from a scriptural point of view why we do what we do. I mean, why Halloween Land? Why is it that high holiday for Pasadena Foursquare Church? Why do we do what we do? And a lot of us who have been here a long time know why, but we could always use a refresher for those of us that are newer. It's what we do. It's what we do. We believe in loving people where they are, not where we think they ought to be. We believe that we are here as salt and light. Salt is not domination language. It's a language of flavor. Light, you don't want to be dominated by light because you'll be blind. You want to be accessible to colors and such. Are we able to get the slides up? Right? I got 3 people shouting one thing. One moment. Okay. All right. I guess I need to keep going. I want to talk a little bit out of a parable. Jesus spoke in riddles very often. And the riddles are always to disrupt conventional wisdom and a conventional way of thinking. They're not intended to reinforce what we already believe. They're intended to undermine it. Not because Jesus likes tricking people, but because he wants us to be free. And to be free or to be liberated means that we have to, there's an old saying that says, if you want to get to the truth, let go of your opinions. Right? If you want to get to the truth, let go of your opinions. And we all have them. You know, I'm an expert. I am the chiefest of sinners in that regard. I have a lot of opinions. And I find that they actually get in the way. And I'm going to keep going until that slide gets up. So you're going to get a freebie this morning. Often my opinions create divisions. My opinions about a matter or about politics or about this or that end up creating barriers rather than bridges. That doesn't mean that there isn't truth, but truth always is best situated in the arms of love. How many have ever been accused of something that may have been true, but the way that it was brought to you put you on the defensive? Right? Nobody here in this room, but you've heard that happen before, right? But when someone finally comes to you and says, you know, I do love you, you are safe, and you need to know this is causing you suffering and this is causing people around you to suffer, you may be a little bit more attentive. Okay, can we go to the second slide, please? The teacher spoke. Teacher is Jesus, of course, capital T. He's our primary teacher in life. I am a teacher. I am the one who, and Brita and others here in this community love you. And our job is to love you. We're not hired hands, if you know that parable, where the wolf comes in and we scatter. There's been plenty of wolves that have come in and we've stayed, right? We stay. But, and I'm not thinking of anybody when I say that, but my point is just simply, Jesus is your primary teacher. You go to him, and you always test what he's teaching you in your relationships. And we're gonna tie that in just a minute. The teacher spoke this riddle addressed to those who believed in their own self-righteousness while holding everyone else in contempt. If that's not a summation of the Twitterverse, I don't know what it is, you know. Two people, he goes to tell the story, two people went to the most spiritual place to pray. One played by the rules. The other was an outsider who broke the rules. The one who played by the rules stood. Standing is an act of, you could say in this context, an act of performance. And the one who played by all the social and religious rules stood and prayed like this: I give you thanks, O God. I am not like others. Others are greedy, distorted, and always going for what they want. I thank you that I'm not even like this one who refuses to play by the rules. I even deprive myself twice a week by fasting, and I give everything that I get. I give from everything that I get. The other one, however, kept a distance from the most spiritual place, not even daring to look up towards God. They lived in a 3-tiered universe at that time. They didn't know that we lived on a globe. But you get the point. When you look up, there's a sense of transcendence, right? When you look up, there's a sense of something that's beyond. That's the infinite nature of God. So this one who did not play by the rules kept a distance, not even daring to look towards God. In real humility, all the rule breaker could say was, "Oh God, be merciful to me. I am a rule breaker." Believe me, the teacher says, the rule breaker went home from the spiritual place right with God, while the one who conformed to the social rules of his religion did not. I'll answer that phone if you want. Those who exalt themselves are humbled. Those who humble themselves will be exalted. And as I shared, slide 4, please. These riddles are meant to disrupt the things that we've been conditioned to believe, not just about religion, but about life itself. And Jesus is not saying that spiritual people should not practice what the rule player does. Fasting and tithing is important. But fasting and tithing and serving do not come from a place of ought to, but come from the overflow of pursuing union with God. When you fast, it's because you want to, not because you have to. When you give, it's not because you have to, it's because you want to. That's, I think, the Mucinex talking there. I may have switched that up. And Jesus is not saying, by the way, that we should become collaborators with the powerful and the ungodly, as the rule breaker did, by the way. He is saying that when persons use piety and practices to consider themselves better than others, they will not be justified before God. And then he pushes it further and says, even rule breakers who acknowledge their mistakes, their sufferings, their shortcomings, will be justified with God and in their connection with God. This is why you see you can almost God is more relational than any of us can possibly imagine. I think that's just what I'm trying to get at. God is the author of relationship and connection. The whole universe is an expression of interbeing, of interconnection. It's not a machine that's going until it wears out. It's a living organism that we are participating with. And Jesus is revealing that kind of interbeing here in this. And so whenever our piety or our practices or our opinions or whatever those things, if they justify some kind of cutting off from others, we're making a mistake. Self-rightness or righteousness, which is seeing yourself as right over and above others, creates a division. And only love, or which is to say connection, I don't want us to confuse love with some kind of namby-pamby, hippy-dippy love. I want us to understand that love is bonding or is connection. Only love can overcome division. Self-rightness or self-righteousness creates sides and us against them. Only love is capable of dissolving the side-taking. Are any of us experiencing sides in our lives right now? Creating room for connection is the only thing that can overcome that. I'm going to say one more thing. Self-righteousness is fun. It's fun. It's why we get into arguments online. I don't even go on to social media anymore, except maybe Instagram, because I don't see a lot of arguing happening there. Right? I avoid Facebook and I avoid Twitter, and I don't have any other. Too old for TikTok. Sorry, 40 and up, stay off TikTok. It's not your realm. We're posers at that point. Just stay away. It'll cycle somewhere else. But love doesn't ignore divisions, and it doesn't justify abuse. And I want to make that clear. But it does reveal a problem that provides a way through it. Okay? Slide 5. I love this, what John of the Cross says here. Christians should keep in mind that the value of their good works, their fasts, their alms, their penances, and so on, is not based on quantity and quality, so much as on the love of God that is practiced in them. Do you understand? It's an old school way, and we don't do penances. Sometimes I think, man, it might be kind of cool if we did penances again. Not because, unfortunately, what it can do, it's an old-fashioned word for like working off your mistakes. What that can do is create a quid pro quo relationship with God. If you did this, then you get that. And that keeps us in the transactionary mind, which ruins grace. But when penances are coming from a place of love, what it basically means, it's almost like the 12-step program. If you wrong somebody, it means you go to them and said, you know what, I wronged you and I'm sorry. That would be a good, healthy penance. In our relationships with one another, it's like, a boundary was crossed, and I apologize. I apologize. Love is connection. And by the way, love or connection overcomes the day-to-day addiction cycle to anxiety. How many struggle with anxiety? Keep your hands down. Right? We all, if you think you don't, pay attention. Anxiety gets us up in the morning. In fact, when we don't have anxiety, we don't get anything done. It's why we love vacation so much, because we tend to suspend, but you don't, vacation is wonderful, but you can't live that way. You are here to fulfill something. Take a break. And honestly, have a vacation in order to work. Don't work in order to have a vacation. Have a Sabbath in order to work. Don't work in order to have a Sabbath. Do you understand? You're not meant to crash on vacation. That's your time. That's not your job's time for you to recover. So I do want to qualify it in that way. But I want to say, healthy anxiety says, I am here to fulfill something. I have been designed in a specific way to bring something specific to the human family. That is both individual, by the way, and collective. Connection makes that possible for us to suspend. Let me give you another example. In a moment of anxiety, sometimes I'll have Brita, who's not doing well, by the way. Pray for her. She doesn't have COVID. She has a horrifying cold. Is that when I have anxiety, is to have someone put their hand on my wife put her hand on my shoulders, or on my heart, or just on my arm. And as you know, scientifically speaking, biologically speaking, if there's contact, skin-to-skin contact, that releases a certain chemical in your brain that says it's okay. You're going to be okay, right? Hugging a loved one, a friend, a brother, a sister, family member, spouse, for just 30 seconds can set the tone for the day, especially if you started off and end it that way. Yeah, slide 6. And I'm going to say this, in telling this riddle, you're not meant to come to just one conclusion. And as I was meditating on this passage, I thought, who really is at a loss in this story? Is God at the loss? Is the rule player at a loss? Is the game breaker, the rule breaker, at a loss? And my answer to all of it was yes. They're all at a loss. I mean, God isn't ultimately at a loss because God is infinite. But our connection with God, which is what God longs for, is broken. So in a certain sense, God is at a loss because God loves each and every one of us. All three are at a loss. But importantly, because the ministry of Jesus didn't just, as it were, function at the vertical, it's constantly playing at the horizontal, right? It's not just about creating a little club of people who love God, but don't do a dang thing with the world. And a lot of spiritual communities will do that. We're the ones who are right with God. The whole point of this is that if you think you're right with God and you're not right with the person next to you or the person that you think should be excluded, you are not right. You're not right. They lose because these two lose because the spirituality of God was never designed to separate, but to bring together, to heal and harmonize. God is not a God of division, but of unity. The gods of this world, the economic God, that's Pharaoh, that's Caesar, go through the Bible, that creates division, creates the haves and the have-nots, the who thinks what should be done with what, and those that don't. God is not a God of division, but unity. And unity, loved ones, please hear me, is not conformity. Unity is completion. Unity is made possible through diversity. Every single skin color in this room makes us complete. We are not in competition with one another. And by the way, our points of view are views from a point, which means we're all seeing and saying something. The difficult thing, and a lot of us, I won't qualify it, but the difficulty is that some are more right than others. And we have to use discernment to say everybody is right, but who is the one who's the most right? And how do the other rightness fit into this? That's another one. I'll save that for another time. Because everybody is included. I really mean that. Every viewpoint is a view from a point. Slide 7. New York Times, I'm going to finish. So Max, Jasmine, get ready. New York Times article on loneliness. This is super fascinating. In 1990, Only 3%, this is hard to believe, but believe it if you will, only 3% of Americans said that they had no close friends. Can you imagine that? And in 2021, nearly 12% said the same. That's fascinating. Within a very short period of time, we went from 3 to 12, and I would venture to say it's even higher. The United States is in the grips of a loneliness crisis that predates the COVID pandemic, right? So the pandemic actually exacerbated it. Slide 8. This is what the article says here. This is a quote. Loneliness often stems from unwanted solitude. So let me give you an example. In 2017, I had vocal surgery, like I'm going to have hopefully on Wednesday. And when they cut into my vocal cords, I couldn't speak for a month. Now, I've gone with extended periods of silence, but I chose that. When you don't choose silence, it is very disempowering, right? This time, again, if I'm able to have it on Wednesday, it'll be 2 weeks instead of a month that I can't talk. But I'm saying here is there is a chosen solitude that is very nourishing to the soul. When you choose to say, I need time. And by the way, I promise to bring it back really quick. I'm part of some introvert circles to figure out certain things, right? To make sure that I'm not alone in the way that I feel at things at certain times. And one of the jokes that we have in introvert circles is that introverts will find articles that say, introverted, have you tried, ... question mark. And some of us said, I would love it if an article said, extroverted, have you ever tried shutting up? Have you ever tried letting other people talk longer, who take time to process and say something deeper, maybe? I'm not against extroverts. You run the world, and clearly you set the tone, right? But do you understand, like we treat introversion like there's something wrong and it needs a cure. It doesn't need a cure. Often introverts or the withdrawn types have a more long-term vision and value. Extroverts and dutiful types tend to see the short term and how do we get there as quickly as possible, right? We need each other is what I'm trying to say. You got to have the dutiful types helping us to get there. You got to have the assertive types that say this is where we're going, and you need the withdrawn types to say what are our values as we get there. All right, that was for free. Chosen solitude is healthy. Unchosen solitude is not. Loneliness often stems from unwanted solitude, but it is also driven by a discrepancy between how you perceive your relationships versus what you want or expect from them. That's a really profound statement if you think about it. That disconnect is why you can be surrounded by family at Christmas, or I'm going to say Halloween, and still feel like an outsider. Slide 9. They say that the primary cure to loneliness is kindness towards others. Isn't that interesting? The article also suggested that volunteering is equally a cure. You can all see where I'm going. Right? Volunteering, the article says, is one of the best, most certain ways we can find a purpose and meaning in our life. Val Walker wrote a book called 400 Friends and No One to Call. Right? Volunteering is one of the best, most certain ways we can find a purpose and meaning in our life. Slide 10, please. The love that Jesus models was all about bonding and connection, and even, or perhaps especially, in the midst of conflict and social conformity. You understand? This is the way things are. Just accept it. This is the way things are. The love that he was modeling says it doesn't need to be that way. And if I have to pay the price for that, I will. This love took place in the messiness of the social, political, relational scene then as it does now. And so I'm going to say, as Pastor Max is coming up, or Jasmine, Halloween Land is about connection and fun and playfulness. It is one of the most important lessons as we get older to learn that life is about ultimately playfulness. It's about our capacity to not be so somber and serious all the time. Say we can have fun together. It's another opportunity for the church to say, we want to embody what it is that we preach. It's not another opportunity for the church to make some insecure declaration about its own importance or rightness. It's our humble attempt to say we make mistakes, but we seek connection with God, with ourselves, and with you, our neighbors. And the way we connect with God and with our own selves makes connection with others more meaningful, okay? Loneliness need not remain an epidemic. Connection provides a way for us to make the infinite love of God incarnate in the thresholds between us. Would you close your eyes for just a moment? I do invite, if you're willing to do it, it's not a command, it's an invitation, to put your feet on the ground for just a moment. To notice if your body is tense right now, if your nervous system might be a little ramped up, or maybe it's too relaxed. So you want to be in a posture of wakefulness. Loving God, you have designed us for connection. You have created this whole expanding universe as an expression of unity, not conformity, but unity and growth and novelty. It's amazing. And you've created us in your image, which means that you've created us to be capable of connecting with people, of serving them, of caring for the world around us. And so I pray this morning that if there are any here that are experiencing unchosen solitude, which is leading to loneliness, that this morning would be an opportunity to connect with others. If there are any of us that are online watching that are feeling lonely, that this would be a moment that you feel the invitation to connect with another. And as we're preparing for Halloween Land, may our hearts be on fire with that purifying, clarifying heat that says we are here to connect. We are here to serve. We are here to be playful and to bring life into this world. Connect us with one another. Help us to be connected with ourselves. Help us to be connected with you. Give us eyes to see as you do. I offer this prayer in your presence. Amen.
Well, we're going to transition a little bit, but I think taking everything we've just been listening and receiving from and holding that space as we talk about our opportunity for hospitality in our community. And of course, it's Halloween Land, but understanding that is it's almost our excuse, it's our opportunity to put this into practice, like Pastor David just said, and it's a party at our house, so we have to get ready for a party at our house. It's fun, it's playful, it invites us all, and that's such a beautiful piece that what I'm hearing is we're all invited, not just the people who are our guests who are going to come and attend and participate in the free candy and games and all of that, but each one of us is also invited to be a part, to encounter that connection, to shake off some of that loneliness that may be there. A party is an excuse for all of us to do that. So we're going to share a little bit about that, hopefully in some fun ways, but also in some practical ways, and all within that context. So we are just 1 week away, if you can believe it. It seems like it's flown by, but also I'm getting excited, and so it's feeling like, okay, is it coming? Is it coming? It is. So if we can put the Hosting Halloween Land slide up, just that first one, and then we're going to switch over to that video. But this is it. So we are hosting Halloween Land. It's party at our house. We are the hosts, and we get to offer this environment to our community. So we're going to talk a little bit about how we do that, what some of the practical needs still are, ways for you to continue to get plugged in. So I have to just show, and it is meant to be playful, but when I have hosted myself, when I grew up and our family hosted, we did it, we had our good days and our not so good days. So this video is gonna show us how we don't wanna host Halloween Land, but also give us just a playful laugh too. So if we can roll that video. Company is coming. So that's what the video is called, which is great because when company came to my house growing up, it got a little chaotic, but we're gonna do this together, so it'll be a lot less chaotic than that.
We gotta clean the house now, people! I want this place looking. We gotta clean the house now, people! I want this place looking like Disney on Ice in 1 minute. Terry, if you haven't made your bed, throw it away. It's too late to make it now. Company is coming. Get rid of the couches. We can't let people know we sit! The chairs need to be pushed in. There cannot be any sign of living in this house. I don't care if we have to throw everything out. I want this place looking like a new Mediterranean fusion restaurant by noon. David! I cannot have beds. We need more pillows. I cannot stress this enough. I need those things looking pumped. I need those things looking fluffed. I want the toilet looking like one of those chairs from the Men in Black headquarters. We need more bird feeders. I need a bird feeder on every window. Knobs. David, put seashells on the doorknobs. This is a dish towel. We need a hand towel. What are we, barbarians? But it's too late. Oh! David, there's muffins on the counter. Muffins. Oh, this isn't happening. Oh my God. We have to go into the witness protection program, folks. Okay, get on the rescue again. Where's my family? Oh, anyone see me? I'm gonna do it again. We're gonna have to get it up. The middle chair in the middle spot. You can tell because the grain is here down the middle. It looks like Route 495 north! This grain is all Willy Wonka. It cannot be in the middle. Oh my God. Oh good, the pony shoe came off. Hi, welcome to the water. Oh my God, oh my God. Okay, how does it feel? You wanna walk around the store? Put them in the cubbies! Flip the pillows, you losers! I want these things looking like microwavable popcorn bags 3 minutes deep.
Okay, I don't know if anybody else felt a little prick of their conscience when they watched that, but I didn't. So, but we have an opportunity to host in such a more fun and healthy way, to not run around and turn in circles, to know where things are and what's happening, and that's part of what we're gonna do today. So if we can get that second slide up from the Hosting Halloween Land slides, it says ready, because we are about to get ready, set, and go to Halloween Land. We have our list prepared. We're not unprepared like poor Gail was in that video. We know what we're about and where we're headed. So we've already got step 1 covered. Can we go to the second slide? We've gotten the word out. So we've been giving out flyers like crazy to libraries and shops and schools and our friends and family. There are still more of those, so take some out on your way out and make sure that the people you want to see are going to be there. So we're getting the word out. Next slide. We're gathering the team. We don't need to say, where's my family? We're here. We're going to be here. If you still haven't signed up, I know some of us are really wonderful and we think, okay, I want to wait to see where the biggest need is and then I'll sign up. Well, today's a week away. We need you to sign up today. So you can scan that QR code. I want to just say we've got about 9 or 10 slots in our first shift still available and about 13 to 15 in our second shift available. So again, I want to also just emphasize that we have amazing community partners who are coming to work alongside us. And my goal would be that there's enough of us to go around that each person who's coming from, whether it's PCC or Life Pacific College or the ambassadors or PUSD, we've got students coming out to earn service hours, that each one of them gets to partner alongside one of us. Because again, party at our house, let's be there. So I want to just give you another chance. Also, if you are a visual person and you want to take a look at our boards in the foyer, the green highlighted areas are where we still need people. So please do. There's 2 shifts also, so we know that you might not be able to do the whole time. Our event's from 1:30 to 6:30, but come and do half of that, be a part. All right, next slide. Our plan is made. Our games are secured. We have amazing things like this basketball hoop game, the air racers. We've got mini golf, a fun money air blowing machine where people get to just go in and grab tickets so that they can win more prizes. So many fun things. We're doing these giant hamster ball races in this room. I don't know who else gets to do that in their sanctuary. I'm so glad that we do, because that's amazing. So sign up to help with that. Help maintain the chaos it is gonna happen in this room a little bit, but we'll be here. So the next slide, we've got our candy in hand. Our pile has been growing and growing. There is still a need for more because we expect hundreds of people out, and we want to give them like a good size bag of candy. That is the QR code to go ahead and donate straight to Halloween candy if you'd like to do that still. If you haven't had a chance to get to the store, we use those funds to take advantage of the best sales this week and get plenty of candy. So definitely encourage you to continue to bring it also this week. We'll talk about that in a minute. But so that's how we're getting ready. Next slide says set. And if you think of it like we're racing to the finish line on Halloween Land, we're ready, we've got our plan, we're getting set this week. So the next slide, we want to get our candy bagged, and so that's how we're doing that this week with our youth, with our women. We also are going to be here throughout the week. Our staff is here Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday from 10 a.m. to 4 a.m. We're going to be working on Halloween Land. We've got logistics to solidify. We've got signs to make. We've got candy to bag. Come and be a part. Yes, exactly. So our youth on Wednesday night, our women on Thursday night, we're already planning that. If those work for you, come. If you are available at another time, come and you can come in the office door and we'll be happy to plug you in and to get you plugged in to help out. Don't forget the cake. If you're having a party, you got to have cake. We have our cake walks. Every year they're a highlight because it's a fun opportunity for the families and kids to get on that circle, pick their number, and have the opportunity to win a delicious Halloween-themed cake. If you would like to bring a cake, you can sign up also for that in the foyer so that we know what to expect and to anticipate. Again, I talked about our prep week. That's this week. We're putting all those finishing touches on. Last Wednesday, we pulled down all of our big decorations with the youth students, and so those will be getting in place. Some of our decorations for our stage, our Nightmare Before Christmas themed stage. You can see some of these pieces will move outside. And then I want to really emphasize this. Next Sunday is the event. So you might be wondering, what's going to happen with church? Well, you definitely want to be here for church because that is not a Sunday. If joining us online is a choice and you're able to get here, come in person because that's our opportunity to really work together to bring this all to life. So Sunday, 10 a.m., we'll still gather. We'll be here in this room. We'll get ready. We'll take some time to pray for the event, to be connected to each other so that we can go out full of God's life and God's love in us. And then we'll be outside, and many hands make light work, so come help us set up. Our inflatables will start to arrive from the different companies we've rented from, and we'll get all Candyland set up and all of it. So once we get ready and set, I got to just show you these 2 photos because we had these amazing volunteers. They look set and ready to go. So you see Lisa and Hannah there. They are ready to receive our friends, our guests, those we're welcoming in, and they are ready to go. We could go to that next slide. And then one more, because Go looks like this. It looks like so much fun. It looks colorful and bright and full and lively, and that is Halloween Land, so don't miss out. Be a part. We're going to do a little training so that once you show up, you know exactly what to do, and I'll pass it off to Pastor Max.
All right. I grew up watching Reading Rainbow, so that's how I learned. So we have a little bit of Reading Rainbow inspired video that we want to share real quickly.
Hello, boys and girls. This is the story of the Halloweenland volunteer. Meet Victor, the volunteer. Victor signed up to be a volunteer at Halloweenland. Meet Kit the kid. Kit is 7 years old. His mom heard about Halloweenland a few weeks ago, and ever since, Kit has been so excited to go to Halloweenland. His mom made his costume just in time for him to go, and he can't wait to have so much fun. This is where Victor and Kit's path intersect. Previously, Victor showed up a tad late, so he was scrambling for time to put the basketball booth that he was overseeing together. Victor has had a busy week at work, and he can't believe he's still getting work emails on a Sunday. But good thing he has an Apple Watch, and he can secretly do both. Victor has beat the system. Oh no, Victor quietly said to himself with a sigh. My face hurts, Kid said in frustration with tears in his eyes. Just great. Now what do I do? Victor said in defeat. A Halloweenland tragedy. A boy hurt, a volunteer embarrassed and who feels bad for the kid. If there was only something that could have helped Victor for this exact scenario. Something like training! Training is important. Training is needed. Training helps so we can turn situations like this back to this.
That's what's on the line. All right, so I like acronyms. So I have an acronym, LOVE. LOVE is an acronym. I don't know if you knew this, but MAX was an acronym. Mega awesome. Anyway, so we have LOVE. Okay, so first one is listen to directions. That's important. So first thing is be on time. So we have 2 shifts. The first one is 1:15 to 4:15. The second shift is 4 o'clock to 6:45. So it's really important if you're on the first shift to arrive, because 1:30 on the dot is when we start playing games. And every year there are families that come half hour, sometimes an hour early, and there's that kid that really wants to play that one game, and he's waiting, or she's waiting 1:30, and if we're late, that kid starts looking at me and said, dude, you said 1:30. So we don't want that. So be on time. So second shift, we also don't want to be late because the person on the first shift can't leave until the second person comes. So it's really important that we be on time. So where to park? It's really important. One of the reasons why we shifted to Sunday was parking. That was one of the reasons, not the only reason, but around our church property on Sunday mornings, or Sunday the whole day, there's no restrictions on street parking. So because of that, we're asking everyone who's volunteering on Halloweenland to park down either on Harkness down here or Walnut, and leaving the limited amount of parking spots for our guests. So don't park here at PFC. Next, check in at Pumpkin Hall. First thing you do is check in at Pumpkin Hall, and you'll see this booth with a giant pumpkin. Go there. Don't ask Jasmine. Don't ask me. What do I do? You know what to do. Check in at Pumpkin Hall, and everything will go smooth after that. And be where you're supposed to be. So that's really important in following directions. Don't wander. Don't switch booths on your own. Don't look around with what's going on. You'll have time to do that, but be where you're supposed to be. All right. O stands for observe. Observe the situation. Observe. Who are you teamed with? Most booths or activities will have teams of 2. So get to know the person who you're teaming with. Get to know their strengths. Get to know why they're there. Again, we mentioned there might be some people from Life Pacific. There might be people from the Ambassador program with PUSD. So it's really important that we get to know who you're teaming with. Who is at your booth or task? So observe the kid at your booth. Do they need extra assistance? Is it a 3-year-old who's trying to throw a basketball? Kind of hard. Is it too hard for them to play? Is it too easy? You know, is the young child Are these games too hard? Well, we have Wally's Playground open for toddlers. Does the middle school child look super bored? Do they want to play laser tag, right? So let's just observe the situation and be present. What's working? What isn't? So we have these inflatables that are rentals. Sometimes things don't work as they say they do, or you have to adjust the game. That's okay. We always say here at PFC, improvise, adapt, and overcome. And then the last thing is adjust if needed. So if you need to adjust it on the fly, that's okay. Just be proactive, and everything will go well. So V is for value. So value the situation. I said this last week, kind of just on the fly, and I was like, oh, that was good, Max. But remembering in the video, Kit is 7 years old, and Kit is 7 years old only once on Halloween, right? And being 7 years old on Halloween, that is a magical time. Halloween is one of the best days for a kid. They get candy. They get to go into their neighborhoods. They get to dress up as their hero or something super awesome, something that identifies them. For some older kids, it's some kind of independence, right? Okay, you can go around and, have some fun. So Halloween is really important to a kid. And they get to be here. There's a sense of we can value that. We also value the families. The families are trusting us enough for us to be around their kids. And there's a lot of reasons not to trust strangers with your kids. I don't have to get into that. But let's be the exception to the reason. Meaning, let's be a safe place where families know, okay, my kid is safe in this environment. Again, that's valuing the child, that's valuing the families. And we can value kids as Jesus did. And I have the scripture here, but I'll just summarize it for the sake of time. But in those times, children were looked at as having no value at all. So Jesus was with the people, the disciples were shooing the kids away, and Jesus said, no, they have value. So Jesus valued children, making them the example. And Jesus, I'll quote it. Jesus said, I assure you and most solemnly say to you, whoever does not receive and welcome the kingdom of God like a child will not enter it at all. And he took the children one by one in his arms and blessed them with kind, encouraging words, placing his hands on them. So not only did Jesus see them, but he gave them value. And not only that, made the children the example. So it's about going against cultural norms. We get to value each and every single person there. All right, lastly, E is for engage. So we are going to engage with our guests. All right, so get to know their costumes. And I'm going to get to that in a little bit. Sell it to the cheap seats. My coach used to say this to me all the time when we would do performances and things, my football coach. We used to do like performances for pep rallies and stuff, and he said, just sell it to the cheap seats. Meaning, put everything in it, so it's not just the people in the front, but it's everything. Go big or go home. Also, asking connecting questions. So I'm going to ask you, what are some connecting questions that you could be asking our guests here at Halloween Land? You don't have to think too much. I'm going to put it, if you have something, nobody. What's a connecting question? Okay.
Are you here with your parents?
That's a good one. Are you here with your parents? Who are you here with? Do you live in Pasadena? Anybody else? All right, Lisa's going. She's got it.
Tell me about your costume.
Yes, that's a good one. So that's important. Don't assume a costume. I dressed up as The Rock one time when I was 10 years old. Somebody thought I was Fonzie, and it honestly bummed me out. I was 10 years old. You laugh, but I still remember it. That's still childhood trauma. I was not Fonzie. I was The Rock. I was the people's champ. All right, anybody else? Any other connecting questions?
Are you having fun?
Are you having fun? And then, you have to be observant. If they say no, then it's like, okay, how can we change that? But most of the time, they'll say yes. Just go out. Oh, last one. Anybody connecting questions? A few other ones I had was, have you ever been to Halloween Land before? How did you hear about Halloween Land? How far did you travel to get here? There's something for everyone here. Did you hear about Wally's Playground? Did you hear about the awesome food that we're serving? Did you hear about laser tag? Did you hear about the Zor balls? So whatever, just engaging. Do you know about the passports? Do you know how they work? So we have passports, and each kid goes to each game, and at the end, they get to put it in a raffle for a chance to win $100. That's pretty cool, and every kid wants to know about that. So the intentionality is about making connections. Engage is to be present. So, okay, so previously, okay, I was talking to two mics. That was silly. Okay, there was a QR code that was up earlier that was, was not working. We have the right one. Okay. Yeah. So can we do this? As we are talking about the state of of just humanity, talking about loneliness, we talked about the need, and we talked about the how. Love, that acronym. Next week, whether we're prepared or not, there's going to be hundreds. Last year there was about 1,000 people, and we're probably expecting about that same. So whether we're prepared or not, there's going to be people here. So we best be prepared. And the way that we prepare is not just mentally or just physically, but also with our hearts as we align with Christ as well. So if we could do this, if we can spend these next moments praying, and I would encourage you to verbally pray what you would want to see here at Halloween Land too. If you know a family that is coming, would you be praying for them? If you're coming, even if you're not coming, you could still be a part of this, right? So we're just gonna spend about a minute and a half in this room together, vocally praying out together for our for Halloween Land, and then I'll welcome us back, and we'll pray together. So, Jesus, we thank you. We thank you for this time, God. We thank you that Halloween Land will happen. We thank you that so many families will be here, and I pray for our community, that value. Jesus, we thank you that first and foremost, you partner with us. And as Pastor David said this morning, you are so relational, we don't even get it. And in the heart of Halloween Land is relationship. And it's about connection. It's about being in the neighborhood as you did, as you modeled. And I thank you for the decades and the legacy of which Halloween Land is built upon. We thank you for those who have come before, but we thank you for our church community now. We thank you for those organizations and those groups who will be partnering with us. We thank you that they are taking time and they see the vision as well. They see the purpose and they see the value in Halloween Land. I pray that as we gather together, that it would be a beautiful aroma to you on Halloween Land on the 30th. It would bring you joy because we're having joy. It would bring you praise because as we love one another, That's how we are giving praise to you that day. And I pray that there would be connections made, and that you would bring people who are sensing that loneliness that Pastor David was talking about this morning, and that God, at the end of the day, they can say, well, in this moment, this day, I didn't feel as lonely as when I first showed up, because they felt your presence, God, and they felt the presence of love through this community. And I pray this in Jesus' name, amen. All right. So we are going to end here. So for those who are joining us for our welcome lunch, that's what we're calling it, we are gathering at the PYC in the NFC, so that's right there. But the rest of you, we will see you next week for Halloween Land or sooner. Remember, we are gathering throughout the week here. If you want to drop off candy, if you want to help put bags together, that'll be fantastic. And make sure you guys come in costume. I didn't say that, but costumes on Sundays, because that's going to be a lot of fun. All right, we'll see you next week.